So Charlemagne the God got schooled by Mark Dice in this clip, and also Megyn Kelly went on Bill Maher's show and schooled him on his own show, like literally destroyed him. It was fucking amazing. Take a look at the clip.
A fantastic actor, but I doubt it.
He's had 4 years of Trump.
Yeah.
Trump did not go after his
what?
political enemies with the Department of Justice.
Right.
That was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Well, we had Hitler in the 30s and things were okay, and then we had Hitler in the 40s and they got way worse.
Oh, I
Just
see.
because we had him.
He hit his Hitlerism the first 4 years, and is going to come out in full force.
He
the second
tried to
four.
do things like that. He tried to do dictatorial
Biden
fascist things,
actually did.
and he was stopped.
Joe Biden has flouted the law when it comes to these student loan giveaway
Really?
programs.
You're
He's
talking about
flouted the law. Supreme Court opinions that told him he didn't have the right to do it, and he openly said, "I will get around the Supreme Court." He did it.
He allowed our country to be invaded, etc., etc.
And then he and Kamala Harris unleashed this Department of Justice against their political enemy, Donald Trump, their #1 chief rival for the presidency.
After they encouraged and allowed millions upon millions of criminal invaders, including many convicted murderers from third world countries, to invade us. This is literally all we're going to hear for the next week and a half. And then, well, if he wins, for the next 4 years after that.
As president, Trump praised Hitler. Take a moment to think about what that means.
That means the Democrats are so desperate and pathetic. They don't have any policies, any policy proposals, any reasons whatsoever why anybody should vote for them. And so instead, they are going with the most insane, ridiculous smear campaign in American history.
Oh, no.
You've been sitting in the corner.
It isn't you on television. Mike, look at her. No.
And while normal Americans are beyond disgusted with the Democrat Party's lies and the Operation Mockingbird assets sinking so low into dangerous disinformation with these smears, others, however, are upset at the mainstream media, Democrats, that they're not warning the American people enough about how much Donald Trump loves Hitler.
Apparently Trump's is going to tape a thing with Joe Rogan. Do you think she should do that?
Well, she was offered to do that and she chickened out.
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist. And I think that Americans need to keep looking at the rhetoric of Donald Trump, because I don't know why we're even thinking about electing somebody who's talking about putting people in camps. I don't know why why we want to elect somebody who's talking about mass deportation. I don't know why we're having this conversation about somebody who wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election.
By the way, that's a fake news talking point from a few years ago when Donald Trump warned that the Democrats were terminating the Constitution. So, of course, they accuse him of doing the exact same thing that they are doing.
We're supposed to be a patriotic country. Whenever somebody like Colin Kaepernick...
We are a patriotic country, which is why we want to deport the millions of criminal invaders who aren't supposed to be here.
Kaepernick takes a knee in this country, everybody talks about, oh, that's so unpatriotic. But a guy can say he wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election and nobody...
First of all, Colin Kaepernick was protesting on the job. Okay, when you're on the job anywhere, there are rules that the business establishment has because they don't want to upset potential customers. So Colin Kaepernick was upsetting the customers, and so he got fired.
Like even me bringing it up now, you brought it back to Kamala and Joe Rogan. Anderson?
Yeah.
Who gives a damn?
Well, I mean, I think you give damn who's elected president, and
yeah,
I'm
especially
asking
if that
you.
president is a fascist. That's talking about putting.
He's a fascist, says Charlemagne. This clown goes by Charlemagne the God and somehow became a prominent talk show host on a popular black urban hip hop morning show. But the Democrats' desperate October surprise isn't going according to plan. Here are some undecided voters in Pennsylvania.
I can't. I think part of the reason why I'm being pushed towards Trump so strongly is that I find that the Democrats and the left just keep going straight to Hitler all of the time with everything. So it's so exhausting. I think it just detracts from, it pushes me away from their position, and it's so hyperbolic that it makes it impossible to have good discussions. And I think it ruins the discourse.
And they are obviously desperate, despicable liars. They are evil. Liars. They are evil.
So while conservative medias were saying amazing things like this, like Megyn Kelly and Mark Dice, Jake Tapper and the rest of the CNN crew, well, not all of them, but Jake Tapper and this chick said some stupid ass things that, like, I think Kamala's rubbing off on them. Just take a look at the clip.
You know, it strikes me what's interesting about the moment we're in right now is that we in the media are treating Vice President Harris like we treat a normal politician, and we're critiquing her answers, and we're talking about, well, she could have said this differently, she could have said that differently. Meanwhile, the Republican nominee literally is talking about liberals being the enemy within, talking about using the military to go after these people. His defenders say, oh no, he's talking about going after illegal immigrants, or he's going after mobs in the street. And Trump will say, no, I mean going after the Pelosi's, going after Adam Schiff, going after Democrats. And these campaigns are in two different universes.
Yep. You know what is a great example of that, Jake, is on that stage tonight, Vice President Harris called Trump a fascist, something she has not done before. Obviously, she's only...
I hate to break this to you, Jake Tapper, but the both campaigns are going off in one single universe, and that's God's universe. It's not off of a different group's opinion of one person. It's just a campaign. What are you talking about? Two universes? What? And then she pats Kamala Harris on the back for calling Trump a fascist for the first time. Like, I'm glad she said it. You guys have been saying it for years. You're just glad somebody else said it. I'm glad somebody else said it so we don't look like a bunch of idiots saying it. And then, not only this stupidity thing happened on CNN, they had Hillary on, and I think she did like futuristic terrorism. I mean, Mark Dice sums it up perfectly. Take a look at the clip.
Remember when Hillary Clinton called us all deplorables and how well that went over? Well, she hasn't learned from her mistakes, because now she's calling us all Nazis, because Donald Trump is going to be holding a rally in Madison Square Garden in New York City soon, where back in 1939, a group of German-American Nazis held a pro-Nazi rally there. And so now Donald Trump, she says, is reenacting that same rally. Okay.
And, you know, one other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany.
She is committing stochastic terrorism. She is hoping that someone will do something very terrible to the attendees at that event. And if, God forbid, anything happens, this creature is to blame.
And he's not wrong. If anything does bad happen at this rally, because she hyped up a bunch of anti-Nazi people and made them believe that a bunch of Nazis were going to meet up at Madison Square Garden again, and something bad happens, it's on her. It's 100%, because she's doing this shit again. She's always done it, just like the DNC. Obama's called him a fascist. All of them done it. And the same people that they're rooting for and all this, they were against them in their up-and-coming days. Like, if you look at old videos, they were against gay marriage and all that shit. And then all of a sudden, when they started losing regular voters, they had to fucking go to the gay pride side and just be like, hey, yeah, we're okay with you now. We're just really desperate for votes. It's a fucking joke. And then they have to use terrorism or call them a fascist. They can't even come at them with facts. They have to make up shit. And most of the shit they're making up, they're doing right at this moment. And just pointing the finger at Trump and saying he's doing it. Like they're just knocking over a glass of water. Trump spilled the glass of water. We saw you do it. But anyway, I digress. I love y'all and I hope y'all have a good night. Yay.